When the bells stopped tolling and the smoke cleared, Europe awoke to a silence unlike any it had ever known. The Black Death had ended, but so had the world that came before it. The fields lay empty, overgrown with weeds that swayed over forgotten graves. Villages once full of laughter were now ghost towns, doors swinging open in the wind, tools left mid-work as if time itself had frozen. But within that silence, change began to stir. The survivors, the few who had outlived death's lottery, looked upon their ruined lands and saw opportunity. There were no lords to command them, no priests to scold them, no masters left alive to collect the rent. The power that had always rested at the top began to trickle down. In England, peasants who once bowed their heads began to demand wages for their labor, and for the first time, their voices were heard. In Italy, the empty homes of the dead became studios and workshops, where survivors turned their grief into art. In Florence, painters began to sketch not saints or kings, but ordinary faces, tired, human, real. Death had broken the world, but it had also shattered the chains that held it still. From the ashes of Los rose a strange, new freedom, fragile but alive. Humanity had faced its darkest hour, and somehow the world had kept breathing. The Black Death had stolen nearly half of Europe, but what it left behind became the seed of modern civilization. In the emptiness left by death, the survivors began to rebuild not just their homes, but their ideas. Labor became precious, and with it, people discovered value in themselves. No longer were they just servants of kings or subjects of faith. They were individuals with voices and worth. The scarcity of workers gave rise to invention, new farming tools, new trade routes, new ways to think. Universities were founded to study medicine and science, no longer content with superstition. Doctors began to question why disease spread, merchants began to cross oceans, and artists began to paint the truth that life was fleeting, fragile, and worth celebrating. The Renaissance, the Reformation, the birth of the middle class, all these were born from the soil fertilized by the dead. Yet, Johnny, it came with a price. The survivors carried the memory of horror like a scar that never healed. Every song, every painting, every invention was haunted by loss. The Black Death had stripped humanity of its innocence, but in doing so, it had given it awareness. The world learned that survival is not just endurance. It is transformation. The modern world was built not on glory, but on graves, and every stone, every cathedral, every spark of progress still whispers the cost of life. The plague had taught humankind its most painful truth, that from the greatest suffering can rise the greatest change.